Y'all know a nigga named Booby.
Welcome to a very new episode of The Man Behind the Beard. I'm your boy, your host, your favorite host of a small channel, Nick Breezy. Uh, so today we're going to talk about co-parenting. Now, why is co-parenting hard? It shouldn't be, right? Co-parenting should not be hard at all. Um, Especially like if you and the other person, the other parent, right? If y'all have a pretty decent relationship, after the split of the reason why y'all are now co-parents, um, it should be easy. It should be easier. And sometimes it's not, right? Like co-parenting isn't the easiest thing. Especially if there's like animosity or resentment or hatred or disagreement or whatever. Like it's not going to be easy. And I think one of the things is that even when the two of you are together, right, you're going to have two different parenting, um, two different types of parenting styles. And that's mainly come from the fact of how you grew up and your morals and values, and how they grew up with their morals and values and things like that, and their experiences with life and their parents and things like that. So you both come from two walks of life as far as like what is right as far as like parenting goes. And none of it is truly right? You only really going by what you feel is right. 'Cause there's no book on parenting. And with co-parenting, you kind of what's what I'm looking for. You kind of like have to pick your battles when it comes to parenting, because if you two live in the same household, dad might say something that that the kids like, and the mom might say something that the kids don't like, and or vice versa. So now y'all have to come to a mutual understanding. Like sometimes you gotta just be like, all right, whatever he say, cool. Whatever she say, cool. Whatever, and kind of meet in the middle, right? And that can be easy. That can be easy, but then now comes to the equation of when y'all split, and now the kids are majority of the time, primarily the time, the kids are always with the mom. And now you and her, or you and that other parent, I guess mainly towards guys in this sense, you and the other parent, y'all have to coexist separately and still be able to raise the children in a very non-hostile parenting environment, so that they don't ever feel or see the blow between y'all. And for me, um, for me, it's not the easiest. And I don't want to make this too personal, but it's not the easiest. And I think a lot of it comes from the fact that, like there is resentment. There is a lot of hate in folks' heart, and this is no dig to either woman, but there is you know pain there. And I could be completely wrong, I could be completely like left field with this, but from my perspective, from Nick's perspective, there's still a lot of unresolved issues that may not ever be resolved, and that's okay. But again, how do you coexist with a person um, that doesn't necessarily want to be an equal to you when it comes to co-parenting? And I think that's been my biggest struggle, and I think that's a lot of men and maybe some women's struggle with trying to navigate that. And it's not easy at all. Like I have a bunch of friends, not a bunch, but I have mm, I know some people. I'm gonna put it like that. I know some people that are about to go into a co-parenting situation, that is currently in a co-parenting situation. Um, and I think that it has to be a mutual understanding that, like, we have to, while we are not together, um we have to do things in the betterment of the children, because that's what matters the most. Like, my relationship with you does not matter anymore. Like, it means nothing, or what we went through means nothing at this point. But in the long run, or in the short run, it really does still matter, and that's the hard part. So, like I've expressed to y'all before, like, I was not an angel by no stretch of any imagination. I was not an angel. And when it came to relationships and, like, fostering better relationships with women, like, I was no angel. And I mean, I'm still not an angel now, but I learned very, very, very valuable lessons from both situations. And while I have elongated my fuses, while I have my approach, my delivery with words have been what I feel to be calmer, more relaxed. Like, I try to massage, like, different conversations. It still doesn't work out that way for me, and like I said, maybe it's because of the fact of how I mistreated them. Now, far as I know, one of them is happily married and they're, in a good situation. The other one, I don't know what her love life, romantic life is, and it's none of my business. But the conversations that I have with them aren't always pretty. Like, they just aren't always pretty, regardless of my approach, regardless of my delivery, regardless of how soft I approach them with something. Like, it's always like a fuck out of here type of response that I get. And it's not because, like, I'm a bad dad. Like, those of you that know me know, like, I'll go to the ends of the earth for them. But am I limited in how I can go to ends of the earth with them? Yeah, because 2 live in Cali and 1 lives in Florida. So yeah, it's kind of hard to be this true active dad, right? Like, to be this true active involved dad when you're in the middle and kids live on the coast. Like, it's really, really hard. So the presence that I have to have is via, telephone, or via gifts, or gifts, monetary things, or money, and visitation. And it gets hard. Like, it gets really, really hard to always have to shovel out money to be able to spend time with your kids. I mean, that's part of the game, right? That's part of the game of being a dad, in a co-parent situation, that you are going to be the one that probably more like has to foot the bill when it comes to, like, visiting. Because at least in my situation, they not going to do it. And maybe it's to their own right. Maybe it's to maybe they're not, maybe they aren't supposed to. Maybe they aren't supposed to flip the bill on, hey, in a hypothetical situation, like, hey, I'm gonna send the kids to you, and for me, shit, okay, send them to me. Like, I genuinely don't mind. I love being a parent. I love being a dad. It allows me to do things for them that I wasn't granted the opportunity to have, like one-on-one conversations, and one-on-one time, and like life lessons, and just father-child time. Like, I just wasn't afforded that. And I don't have daddy issues, no shit like that, but it just kind of was what it was now at that point. But I don't believe that it should be a one-way street when it comes to co-parenting. I feel like it should still be both of y'all working for the same goal, and that is to give the child or children the best life they could possibly have, and give them life lessons and teach them and let them learn from mistakes, and uh, award them when they do good things, and y'all should be beating on the same drum. Granted, you never will, and you have to live with the fact that while y'all are not together anymore, you know, you still have to, y'all share children, and you will have to still be at certain events like graduations and weddings and, you know, um, award ceremonies, whatever. Like, y'all still have to coexist together in those fashions. And it might just depend upon y'all on how y'all go about that, how y'all are able to be friendly, be cordial, be cool in those times, and to not allow that hate or that resentment that you have for that person to bleed through your pores. But it will happen, and it does happen, unfortunately. So I guess, in the long run, it's like, well, Nick, how do you, why put yourself through that if if you want to, if you wanted to have children, and they're about separate women, and foster relationships between the boys and things like that, or just not having to deal with the headache of flying everywhere to visit kids. And ultimately, it's about your own happiness in that regard. It's about you choosing a peaceful life for yourself that will in turn benefit said children or said child, right? And it kind of goes back to what I said before about pivoting, right? In the last episode, it goes back to about pivoting. Like, you have to change direction for the betterment of yourself or for people or offspring in this case. It has to be that way. And you have to be okay with it. You have to be okay with the decisions you make when it comes to children. So, and also just not be a absent father or absent parent just because you and the other person didn't work out. Like, that's not how this shit go. Like, none of us, right? None of us came down to our parents and was like, hey, fornicate. Go ahead and do that so I can be here. Like, none of us did that, right? None of us did that. And as having children myself, I know that these three individuals didn't come down and say, hey, make me, bro. Like, find her, make me, and we're gonna be good. Like, nah, like, that shit just didn't happen at all. So, but in that though, things just didn't work out the way it needed to not work out. And it sounds kind of bad, but that's just the reality of it. Like, you and X person were put together for X amount of time, and y'all split. Okay, all right, cool, we split. So, but now we have a kid together. Now we have children together. So now, how do we move forward from that part and still make the focus point, the offspring? How do we do that? And sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's hard, sometimes it takes a longer time than what you may want it to take. But ultimately, like, you only have to be concerned with how you do things and how you parent. So again, like I said, I'm a dad from a distance, but my presence is still known. So, but in certain cases, from one mom, I get a phone call or a text message when one of the children is being bad or disruptive, or they're not listening or something like that. So now I'm called to be like an enforcer. And so now I'm forced to be like, well, your mom said this, your mom said that, so da 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 da. So now I'm forced to kind of play ball to, be on some one of twin powers activate type shit when it comes to parenting. Because while I may not always agree, right, we're not always going to agree on parenting style, but don't need me when you need me. You know what I'm saying? So like, don't need me when you need me. Don't need me when you need me to be. Don't ask for my parenting when it's beneficial for you. When it comes to the youngest son, like, because of the negative energy in our co-parenting, I get the short end of the stick a lot of times. So without making it too personal, because this is an overall conversation, right? It's an overall conversation about like co-parenting as a whole. So in my opinion, how do two forces of evil, two forces of good, be able to come together and talk things out and work together and be okay and just coexist, and your focal point is just the kid? The answer to that is, I don't know, man. That shit is hard. Like, I don't know. Communication. Like, y'all have to talk. Despite whatever differences y'all may have, like, you have to communicate. You have to have try to develop a really good relationship with the other parent. It's not, like I said again, it's not the easiest thing. It's not, and even those conversations may not always warrant the response or the outcome that you may want, but at least you attempt it. At least you put the olive branch out there, and hopefully it's they accept it, and y'all can make true progress. But it's not an easy road, especially if one parent, male or female, if they're not cooperating the right way, or the way you feel like they should cooperate. And that's okay. You just have to continue to do you, as far as like how you parent the kid. And eventually, like, kids will see. We all grew up, not all, but most of us a lot of us grew up in a single parent household. So as you get older, you see like who was the problem, who was the issue, why this happened, why didn't this happen. And at that point, if the kid asks you like what happened, you can either say, you know what, son, daughter, this, that, and the third. You can tell them the story, or you can be like, you know what, it's not for you to know. Like, just know that, me and your mom, we was together at one point, or me and your dad was together at one point. This is, certain things happen, certain things transpire between us, and here we are. We don't live in a 2-parent household because of things that happen between us. And like, essentially it's okay. Like, I used to get some of my friends, they voice their opinion. They voice their opinion on how I shouldn't have left either situation, either relationship, because of the children. And like, I kind of used to get upset with that, because like, you can't, like, yes, I love my children, but I'm not about to be in a situation of chaos. I'm not about to put them through chaos. I'm not about to put them through, yelling and screaming and cussing and fussing. I'm not about to do that. I think I personally had to grow up in a situation just like that, where both were, my father, he was not in the household with us, right? Like, he wasn't in the household. He had his own house. Me, my mom, all of us, we had our own house or whatever. But because of his actions, she would get in his ass. You know what I'm saying? Like, it would be a lot of cursing, a lot of fighting, when they would see each other. on certain occasions or whatever, she'd be yelling at him, but one thing she never did, and what I also don't do is I don't bash the other parent in front of the kid. Now don't get me wrong, she did do bash him sometimes, but she never said to me like, "Your daddy ain't shit," or "Your daddy don't do nothing for you." She never did that. She may have had her own opinion about him when it came to like their personal relationship, but she never bashed him in front of me, and that's something I don't do to this day. I don't bash um a mom in front of the kid, in front of the children. I don't bash. I don't think that's right, and I think it forces the kid to like choose sides. And I don't want anybody to choose a side. I don't want any kid of mine to choose a side when it comes to me. I want them to see it for themselves, and then they are their own referee at that point. Like it's not me saying, "Oh, well, your mom, blah 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 blah." Nah, no. Um, I personally think I do. Never mind. um, I think I do a good job with how I parent, with how I co-parent. At least I try to do the best of my ability to co-parent in a very peaceful way, because I have no hatred in my heart for either person. I have no like resentment or anger or anything. Like things happen between us the way they were supposed to, and you know we all are in different situations, whether it be financially, emotionally, spiritually, mentally. We're all in different headspaces now. So, there's no need for me personally to feel any type of way towards them. And then maybe I said it because I was the one that did all the damage. Well, I'll take that back. I didn't do all the damage. I didn't do all the damage, but I take responsibility in the damage that I did do. Right. So, maybe that's the reason why, like why it's easier for me to just kind of move on. Right. It's easier for me to kind of just be like, you know what? You feel the way you feel, cool, whatever, fine. Like I'm still going to be at peace with how things are right now. Now, is it ideal that I have to share children in a hostile-ish environment? No, it's not. It's not the funnest thing. But I will say that I think lessons come from this. I think that growth has come from this, and I'm happy about it. Like I'm truly happy about that. What the growth has done for me, and I think the lessons that the children will learn will be exponentially great. So, you have to put yourself in a position to where what's better for the children. I think that's the biggest message from all of this. What's the better situation? What is better for the children? And if you are in a situation to where you're not happy, the children are seeing y'all fight and all types of dumb shit or whatever, it's time for y'all to leave. And y'all can do all the couples counseling and everything like that. And if it works, cool. Like, do it. But if it's not working, y'all got to go y'all separate ways, and y'all have to try to be respectful of of the other parent at all times, for the most. Not at all times, but you got to be respectful, of like the fact that y'all aren't together, and that's okay to not be together. It's okay to not be together. But are you still doing your job as the parent? Are you still doing your job as the quote unquote non-custodial parent? And if you are, then cool. Be that role. Be that parent for that kid, for those children. Be that parent. And just be mindful of like your delivery. Be mindful of how you approach, or of your approach. Be mindful of, things that you say in front of kids, when the other parent isn't around. Um, you got to be mindful of those things. You got to be, you gotta put up boundaries. You got to respect the boundaries. You have to, I don't like I said before, you got to just be okay with like how things are for y'all. And at the end of the day, like, it's okay. It's okay. Because it didn't kill you, right? Like I get it. In a lot of cases, don't get me wrong, a lot of cases, like, you have a lot of dads and moms that aren't the custodial parents, like, oh my God, like, not having my kids is killing me. It's killing me. It's killing me. It's not. It's not killing you. It feels that way, right? To not have these individuals, these small individuals next to you, talking to you and things like that, not being able to share certain experiences with them in the moment. But if your relationship with the kid or kids is as strong, it's if you have a true bond and your bond is strong and it's cemented, you don't have to worry about like like your relationship with them being skewed. Because if you're doing your job, you got to worry about it. And I think that's what I take pride in for myself. I do the best that I can. And I try to keep down as much noise between me and the moms as possible. Um, but I feel like a lot of one thing people or them can't say is that I'm a bad dad. Now, have there been certain situations where somebody has said that I don't give my kids the attention they deserve? You see that. But that's from their point of view when they're not in the mix of me and the child. You know what I'm saying? Like and what we talk about and what we talk about and how we talk about it. Because they're on a different end of the spectrum. They're on a different end of parenting than I am. And it can always be, you can always account it to, when it comes to co-parenting, oh, well, your life is easier because you don't deal with the children on a day-to-day basis. That is a fact. That is very true. But when you are the non-custodial parent and you're asking like, hey, I know, or you're saying like, hey, I know, you deal with it on a day-to-day basis or whatever, you know what I'm saying? You deal with the ins and outs of the kids every day or whatever. Let me get them. And the response is not welcoming, despite how you deliver it and things like that or whatever. It's not to say that they are bad parents. Not to say that they're not doing their job, but it's like, I'll take that on. Like, I'll take on the day-to-day. I'll take on the as Tommy Pickles would say, I'll take on the responsibilities. I'll take that on. You know what I'm saying? Like, I want that. I enjoy being a dad each and every day. I enjoy seeing it grow. I enjoy the conversations. I enjoy the trolling, that that kids do. Or at least one of mine do. He trolls a lot. But anyway, like, I enjoy those small little nuances of being a parent, being an active dad. And even though I am not in the house with the children, I live in the same vicinity with the children each and every day. It doesn't take away from the fact of like how good of a dad you are or you will be, or that you demonstrate with them. It doesn't take that away. Like, you don't allow, try not to allow the other parent to kind of dictate like what kind of parent you are. Try not to allow that to happen. But it does happen, unfortunately. It happens. But co-parenting, it's not the easiest thing, but it all works itself out in the end. In my opinion, it all works itself out in the end. And just be patient. Just be patient. It all works itself out in the end. One thing that one of my kids told me a very long time ago was about the word impossible. And while you're in the mix of this whole co-parenting thing, and you getting, it feels difficult, it feels impossible for things to be okay between you and the other parent. Tanner once told me, he was maybe like 6 or 7. He was like, nothing is impossible. And I'm like, what do you mean? And he said, well, the word possible is in the word impossible. Nothing is impossible, because there's still a possibility in that said thing to happen. So always remember that, y'all. Nothing is impossible. Nothing in a situation like that. Things will calm down. Things will slow down. Things will be okay. But you gotta have a little bit of patience, a little bit of understanding, a lot of bit of understanding, a lot of communication, and you have to let a lot of what happened between you and that person. You gotta let it go. You gotta let it go, because it doesn't do anything for you. You holding on to old hurt, old whatever, and while the other person moving through life gracefully, you gotta let that shit go. Let it go, and again, it'll work itself out. So let them be difficult. You be patient. You be okay with the movement. You continue to be that parent for those kids, or that kid. Be that, because at the end of the day, that's all that matters. That's all the kid is going to remember, is how you were a good parent, a good dad to them. That's all it needs to be. But until next time, y'all. Peace.